It is Wednesday, December 3rd, and major immigration raids beginning today in Minneapolis. The Great Somali Roundup has begun. Strike teams deployed to round up the illegal Somali community, and Democrats losing last night the Tennessee special congressional election after all the hype, all the money the DNC pumped into that race, and they lost. We'll look at the results. We'll show them to you, the reaction from the media and from Dems, the cope, and what it could mean for next year for the 2026 midterms.
We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, it just happened. She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota, okay? Minnesota, you have an incompetent governor. You have a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell, but he's incompetent. Waltz he should be ashamed. That beautiful land, that beautiful state.
So it's been a week since investigative journalist Chris Rufo with the City Journal exposed how Minnesota's Somali community stole billions with a B in tax dollars, which, if that wasn't bad enough, the scheme didn't just steal the money to enrich themselves like most thieves or crooks would do. No, they didn't even keep it. They didn't keep the money for themselves. Instead, they sent the money back to Somalia to a terror group, Al-Shabaab. Chris Rufo posting on X yesterday how it started, how it's going. This was the original article that kicked all of this into motion. The largest funder of Al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer. Fast forward 1 week, and what do we see? Every single legacy outlet has now confirmed the reporting, leading to the New York Times myopic piece yesterday. New ICE operation set to target Somali migrants in Twin Cities. The Times reporting how the Trump administration has just launched a massive ICE enforcement op in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area set to target the 40,000 foreign-born Somalis living there. Omar Fatah, the man who just lost the Minneapolis mayoral race, writing on X last night, ICE has been seen all over Minneapolis abducting our neighbors from the streets and their homes as part of their operation. Please share this thread with your friends and neighbors to make sure they have access to the resources necessary to protect each other. This operation has deployed what they're calling strike teams inside the Minneapolis-St. Paul region to deport Somali illegals. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hare forced to go out last night on live TV, like you've seen all of these politicians, all of these local leaders do. For some reason, they come out and they pander to this community, to the Somalis living in Minneapolis. It's just odd. Watch what this police chief did. He came out and told Somalis to call 911 if ICE shows up wearing masks and make arrests, promising that police will immediately respond and intervene. Really?
Folks that are masked, that they're not sure if they're law enforcement, that they may be kidnapping people. Like, we have had those reports. I want to be clear to the community. The community should know that if you see something like that is legitimate, that you don't know if someone is law enforcement, you should call 911. And you should provide as much information as possible, because let's not forget, we very recently had tragedy in this state by someone who was purporting to be law enforcement. So please, let's be clear. That's something everyone should report, and that we will immediately respond to, and we will document, whether it's somebody's not sure if there's a kidnapping happening, somebody's not sure if that there's law enforcement present or not. And that's something else that's additional policy requirements that we are implementing, that we will document and report these types of things anytime that we hear it. and reminding our officers of their duty to intervene. So if there is anything that is, a violation of someone's human rights or civil rights, excessive force or anything like that, they absolutely have a duty to intervene as police officers.
Even though interfering with ICE is a federal crime governed by 18 U.S.C. 111, like we hear Tom Homan constantly quote, not to mention obstructing justice, the congressman representing this district, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, losing her mind over this. It was just last week that she gave that speech bragging that the Somali community is only growing, that they're not going anywhere, that the Trump administration, she said, you can't do anything about it. People now pointing to that speech and saying that she's rubbing our noses in it. This is the same lady, remember, who allegedly married her brother to acquire citizenship, then allegedly used that citizenship to bring more of her family here. If that is true, which we don't know if it is, but if it is, that would be defrauding the U.S. government. If true, she could technically be denaturalized and deported. So again, 1 week after making that speech, today, ICE launching strike teams with other federal agencies to actively conduct widespread enforcement operations targeting and picking up Somali residents across Minneapolis. Ilhan losing it.
He's always been a racist, a bigot, a xenophobic, and Islamophobic. We know that he called African nations a shithole in his first administration. We know that when he came down that escalator, he said he was going to stop Muslim immigration into this country. And so it is not surprising that he is going after Black immigrants in this country. And it's certainly not surprising that he's choosing a Black immigrant community that is also Muslim. But what I would like to say is that most of us are citizens. On our passport, it says we are nationals of this country. We love that Minnesota has welcomed us. Many of us have not been settled in Minnesota. We chose it as a home because the Minnesota people and the state is beautiful and very welcoming. And we are going to be here regardless of what the president has to say.
Yes, the media, Democrats enraged by Trump's rhetoric vis-a-vis the Somali community, calling it racist, calling all Somalis garbage, they say, is racist. And look, let's be honest, that is a little bit racist, but so what? Personally, I like when Trump speaks like this, if only because it expands the aperture of allowable speech in this country. As we all know, the Overton window the last 5 years got much smaller. During COVID, you could barely speak at all. That's not a free society. So good job, Mr. President. Thank you for speaking your mind. In another story, Tennessee's special congressional election wrapping up last night, the self-proclaimed Democrat socialist Afton Bain losing by 9 points to Republican Matt Van Epps, defeating the AOC of Tennessee, and good riddance.
We are seeing something that at the moment suggests the Republican might hold on to win. Matt Van Epps has just taken the lead. I'll explain why in a minute. And if you look through the map, you could see a progression to where Matt Van Epps can hold on. I can also give you a scenario, though, where the Democrat Afton Bain wins. But the fact that we're talking about this race at 9 o'clock at night in the East on this night, a special election, tells you everything you need to know. Republicans are going to be nervous even if they win this seat because Matt Van Epps is leading this race right now, but by less than a point. Less than a point, Caitlin. Let's just say he stretches that out a little bit, right? Okay. But just a little more than a year ago, on quaint little day, November 2024, Election Day, Mark Green, the former incumbent in this congressional district, won it by 22 points.
This was the hotly contested special election for Tennessee's 7th District House seat. If Dems had won, it would have made it possible, technically possible, for them to take back control of the House before the midterm election. So it was a much-needed victory for Republicans and for the president. For weeks, we've been hearing that this race was too close to call, that Afton Bain was within striking distance, they claimed. Polling, real polling, showing the race was a statistical tie. Turns out, all of that was false. Van Epps winning by 9 points. Even still, though, even though he won by 9 points, Democrats claiming this is bad news for Republicans and the president, that a 9-point victory, they say, is too small. The margin, too small. Watch.
Let's talk about the numbers. Republicans should be running for the hills this morning because the blue wave is building, my dear friend, Mr. Berman. What are we talking about here? Well, Matt Van Epps, the Republican candidate, he won it by 9, but this is a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points, 15 points, 17 points. This is a 13-point gain for the Democrats in terms of the margin, and excuse time for Republicans is over, because I hear all about these special elections. Oh, the turnout's so low. It's not representative of what happened in the midterm election. The turnout last night in Tennessee's 7th district was equal to the turnout in the 2022 midterm election. So the blue wave, it seems to be building right out of center of Tennessee.
Interesting.
What happened last night in Tennessee ain't just staying in Tennessee. It is spreading itself throughout the nation. As I said, to me, looking at these results, it looks like a blue wave is building.
And it's not just that it's blue, it's that it's double-digit blue.
It is exactly right. It's double-digit blue. I will note, I looked at the stats. If, in fact, you had a 13-point shift like we saw in Tennessee, and you applied that to the 2024 presidential map, we are talking about a gain for Democrats of north of 40 seats.
All right, in terms of the history, what does this mean as we project forward?
Okay, so we're looking at these special elections, we're sort of applying these hypothetical numbers, right, in terms of, Democrats would gain north of 40 seats if, you moved everything over, 13 points from the 2024 presidential result. But we actually have history to show that what happens in special elections doesn't just stay in special elections. It spills over to the midterm results. Special elections and midterm results. I just keep going to this. When a party outperformed in special elections since 2005, 5 out of 5 times they went on to win a majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. What happened last night in Tennessee is a very, very bad omen for Republicans and a very, very good omen for Democrats.
Harry Etten, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Democrats celebrating their loss last night, hailing it a bellwether for 2026 for the midterm elections next year. Well, my friends, what they're doing is called gaslighting. That's what this is. They're pointing to how much closer the margin is versus Trump's victory in the presidential election. That's not remotely the same thing. Look what Matt Barnyard is saying about this. In the 2024 congressional election, a strong longtime incumbent ran with zero primary, Mark Green, and outspent the Democrat $2.2 million to $1.2 million, and there was no outside money involved on either side. Green won by 21.5%. That was the Republican. The media is making a big deal about how much closer this race was than the presidential as some kind of referendum, but this is fundamentally dumb. Don't fall for it, he says. And why? Why are they doing this when they know it's not true? Because any chance they get to pull away the perception that Trump has a mandate, they're going to take. Even days after Trump won last year, won the presidential election, they tried claiming that he didn't have a mandate. If they can make it appear like the country's turning on him, they're going to take it. That's politics, but I don't think it's remotely true. President Trump posting on Truth Social, another great night for the Republican Party. And what's odd about all of this is the breakdown of the vote. When you look at the exit polls, the vote totals, Nashville voted overwhelmingly. The city of Nashville voting overwhelmingly for Afton Bain. Nashville, the city that she said she hated. I hate Nashville. I hate everything about it. I hate country music. I hate everything that makes Nashville, Nashville, basically. Yet, Nashville votes for this lady. It's just bizarre. Thank the Lord she lost. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.